Johnny Mack will be in the house on a Eagle football Sunday back at the Link. Eagles a 14.5-point favorite. Big spread there, John. We've talked about it all week. Now we know that Luke Falk will be the quarterback of the Jets, and I guess that really solidifies that we're having a hard time finding ways that the Eagles could lose to this Jets team on Sunday. So Falk is in, Darnold is out, and something Jeff has brought up. Is it odd to you that Darnold didn't really get any snaps, or was getting most of the snaps this week, and Falk was kind of a bystander?
Yeah, it's very odd because most of us kind of pointed out that he was unlikely to play just from the fact that even if he got medical clearance from an enlarged spleen, which you get with mono, ultimately he did not get that. But even if he did, he'd be very, very weak. And it was unlikely he'd be ready to play from a conditioning standpoint. So the theme this week has been bad coaching with the New York Jets, and this is just another example because you waste first-team reps on a guy who's not going to play, and a head coach kind of knows he's not going to play. So I guess from his perspective, benefit of the doubt, he knows he's not winning this game, so he's trying to get Darnold ready and back up to sharpness as quickly as possible for down the road. I guess you could spin it that way. But from being around NFL teams as long as I have been, that's not how you do it in the regular season. It's just not. The guys who are going to play get the first-team reps so they're ready to play. And we talked a lot about that back in the Atlanta game and the fact that the Eagles had so many injuries both pregame and early in the game and how that affected them because the backups didn't get first-team reps. Well, here you're going to have a third-string quarterback not getting reps. Why? I have no idea, so it was good that Jeff brought that up because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, John, and obviously with Falk back there, this really – I mean, we already knew they had a limited offense with not a lot of weapons. How much does that decline with Falk as the quarterback? What are we really looking at here?
Just look at the history of the NFL in any city when you're down to your third quarterback. Generally, good things don't happen. There's occasions that maybe a young guy will catch fire and maybe a coaching staff didn't see something that was there. But I very unlikely, even with all the issues the Eagles are having at corner, and there's significant issues, no question about it. I think if there's any other team in the NFL coming in, you might have some concern. This is the one team you probably don't have much concern, and it's good timing from an Eagles perspective.
All right, John. I'm almost laughing thinking about this, but Adam Gase is supposed to be an offensive genius, and I don't think anybody's really seen it either with the Jets or with the Dolphins, but he's supposed to be, right? I may not believe that, but I don't believe he's stupid and an idiot. I just can't believe that, and yet what we just discussed, him not having his starting quarterback ready in practice, to me is befuddling, and so I have to think then that Adam had a backup plan if Sam Darnold wasn't ready. And it makes me think you're going to see something different on Sunday. It makes me think he's either going to throw a whole bunch of wildcat or something that we're not thinking. I can't believe he would actually go into a game with Luke Falk as his quarterback and not really give that guy an honest preparation for the game. There's got to be something coming, right?
Well, I think you're bending over backwards to give him more credit than he deserved.
Oh, my God.
A lot of times I throw out Occam's razor. The simplest answer is usually the right one. And it's just a bad football coach doing a bad job. And again, I think more it's about getting Sam ready for later in the season and getting him back and ready and prepared for when he's ready to go. But that's just not how you do it in this league. And
you can get a guy hurt,
potentially.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's other players involved as well, and they're trying to win football games, and they're trying to get through this, and they're trying to prepare and be professionals. you should, as a coach, show them the courtesy of doing it as well. I can't explain it. Because all week I've said, Sam's not playing. I mean, even if he got cleared, I don't think he's playing, just from, as I said, a conditioning standpoint. Now, if I know that down the Jersey Turnpike, Adam knows that. Adam knows that as well as anyone. It was very, very unlikely he was going to play in this game. So, but I mean, you can point to 100 things this guy has done dating back to Miami that are just head scratchers. So at some point, you just got to say, well, yeah, he's going to make bad decisions. And I think this is just another one.
Well, one thing that Zach Ertz did say, I guess, this week was they're not 0-3 because of their defense. It's a really talented defense, so they at least have acknowledged that, what we've kind of seen, that they can keep the game kind of close and ugly, I guess, defensively, if the Eagles' game plan is not executed very well and they try to take the Jets' defense for granted.
Yeah, I mean, that defense is fine, and it would be a lot better if C.J. Mosley was able to play. And Adams is, I think, one of the best safeties in football. So they do have some players on that side of the football, and the Eagles, they're still having some issues. No Deshaun Jackson, he won't be back, and this is the week they earmarked originally as him returning. Now, maybe they just looked at the schedule and said we can squeeze out another week without him. So maybe they're using some strategy. But we've seen the offense and up and down. And I think when everybody gets out there and everybody's healthy, I think it's going to be a very good offense. But, yeah, this is a defense that is better than probably people think because the team as a whole is so bad. And I could see them giving the Eagles' offense some trouble at times, but at a certain point when you're playing Carson Wentz, he's going to wear you down, and I say that about most defenses. And there's going to be big plays at certain points in the game, and the Jets just don't have enough offense to keep up with that. So I don't expect them to whitewash the Eagles, so it's going to be difficult for them to, as I said, keep up.
Yeah, John, I know that if there's a home run to be hit in this game on offense, the Eagles will certainly take a swing. But I do wonder a little bit if Doug's game plan, his philosophy, his strategy going into the game, much like the Packers game, is to try to incorporate the run as much as possible and try to have an offense that's going to, as we've seen normally with Doug, is eat up a lot of the clock. To just kind of take it easy on that defense and easy on that beat-up cornerback crew.
Yeah, well, in theory, I think it's going to look good at the end of the game. So for the balanced crowd, I think everything's going to work out, but that's because they're probably going to get a lead in the game and be in control in the second half, and that kind of works out that way. How he starts, hey, Doug, I mean, he likes to throw the football. He comes from Andy Reid's offense, and they just like it. And their best players are receivers and the quarterback, even without Deshaun Jackson. So unless you do have a lot of success early running the football, I do think they get a little bit undisciplined and sticking with that, and they just default to throwing the football. And I think that's going to continue for most of the year. So if you want them to run the football, those guys, whether it's Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, they got to be successful early, or they're going to get disinterested in it. That's just, I think, where we are with this Eagles offense.
Yeah, if we're trying to find anything, really dig, and eventually you can find Jets 3 defensive touchdowns with, I think one of them's garbage time against the Patriots and Brady's already pulled, but nonetheless, I guess you're, a concern, or not even a concern, but if Miles Sanders fumbles early and the Jets do like a scoop and score type of deal, and I'm just really grasping at straws, as you can see, John, but is that something that maybe can snowball and could be, get them into a battle they don't want to be in for a little bit?
Well, I'll even go one further. I think the only way is to get probably a defensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown on top of it. Maybe then you can keep it competitive and keep it closer than it should be. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to do things in unique ways. And they have that ability on the defensive side of the ball. And we all know the history of Greg Williams, and maybe you should be more concerned about keeping people healthy than anything else. But, yeah, it's tough. If you want, you really have to – normally in an NFL game, you can come up with ways that if you don't play well, you're going to lose the football game. It's really difficult to do that this week, and that's why the number is, what is it now, 15.5? I mean, that tells you all you need to know.
14.5, yeah.
John, I can't imagine what this segment, Football at 4 with McMullen, is going to be like in 6 or 7 weeks when the Eagles play the Dolphins, because today is Friday. We have asked you for 5 straight days some variation of the same question of, do the Jets stand any chance of even winning or covering, or what kind of apocalyptic event would have to happen for the Eagles to lose this game? Like, I'm out. I'm done anymore. And you must be tired of answering this same question 1,000 different ways. Like, we literally cannot put our heads together and figure out anything redeeming about this game from a Jets standpoint, and we haven't for 5 straight days.
Yeah, and part of it is, I think, if you want to be optimistic from a Jets standpoint, which is difficult to do for those fans, they've been beat up for a while. It is a lot of their issues you have to deal with injuries, and the fact that Sam Darnold's got a chance to be a very good quarterback in this league, and typically you lose your starting quarterback to mono. C.J. Mosley, as I mentioned, is a really good player. Le'Veon Bell is a really good player. So they do have building blocks, and Joe Douglas is there. I think they'll start making better decisions on the personnel front. But that's all season stuff. Unfortunately, the position they're in as they head into Philadelphia, or fortunately for if you're an Eagles fan, it's bad. But I said, if you're the Eagles, and you'd probably be better off than most teams, and now the third-string quarterback is Nate Sudfeld, nobody expects to succeed if you're down to your third-string quarterback in this league. It's just difficult.
That's true.
Yeah.
John, speaking of third string, I guess today the Eagles made some moves in the secondary. Sidney Jones looks like he's going to play. Ryan Lewis, nobody's heard of him, has been elevated from the practice squad. Alex Ellis has been waived injured. So give us some insight on what you think this Lewis means. Is he going to be on the active roster? And, I mean, I guess with Sidney Jones playing, you always have to wonder if he's going to make it through a game. So does that mean that they have to activate an extra corner for that?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, you don't know how long he's going to be able to go, so that's why they made this move and they brought Ryan up. He's actually a Lancaster guy, and he went to school with Avonte Maddox at Pitt. And he's been around. He was on the Patriots practice squad when they were in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. So he's got a little bit of experience, but I mean, the Eagles are in a bad situation at corner. And like I said, it's a good week to have Luke Ball coming in, because you do have Sidney Jones, who's questionable with a hamstring, and we know. I mean, this guy has trouble staying on the field. And then you talk about your corners after Rasul Douglas, Orlando Scandrick. Well, he wasn't here. So he's brand new, back on the team, obviously after getting cut at the end of training camp. And it's Craig James is ping-pong back and forth from the practice squad and has had 3 NFL snaps, one of them a very big one, breaking up the pass from Aaron Rodgers that Nigel intercepted. I mean, that's not good. And then you throw Ryan into the mix. So however you want to cobble it together, Scandrick's going to play a lot. The question is, does play outside along with slot work? And it's just not a good situation for Jim Schwartz.
No.
But you don't have a quarterback or a receiving corps that could probably take advantage of it the way they should.
Which is interesting because in any other situation, whether it be a quarterback or a running back or a receiver that didn't play for the first 4 weeks of the season, they'd be like, well, they got to ease him into it. He's probably not going to get a lot of snaps. And here's Skandrick probably going to be out there a majority of the snaps on Sunday. If you're the Jets, look, I get it, he's a third-string guy, but, he played major Division I football. He went through a training camp. You just pick on that guy all day and maybe keep yourselves around.
Well, the good thing is Orlando's played a lot of football. It's been around a long time. Long-time starter in Dallas, played a lot in Kansas City last year. So from that standpoint, the stage is not going to be too big for him. So maybe if you have to play a Craig James who hasn't played much, if you have to play a Ryan Lewis who hasn't played much, it could get really, really ugly. You kind of know, at least at the bare minimum, Orlando Skandrick knows how to play and knows how to play NFL football, knows defense from being here in camp. So that shouldn't be an issue. And that's why he's back, because that's the kind of guy, if you need somebody to ramp up in a week and play and not embarrass himself, you want a veteran guy who understands your system, and that's what the Eagles did.
Hey, John, how about Camus Grugier-Hill? That's something new. Is there a chance that he gets onto the field and is able? This would seemingly be the perfect game to start reintegrating him back into the defense if he's ready to go.
Yeah, I was thinking about that myself, Jeff. I think when everyone looks at corners and what Jim's going to do, and Jim's done this in the past, and he throws people. And last year he did it with Avonte Maddox, and I said, when I had all the injuries at safety, nobody was like, oh, maybe they'll put Avonte Maddox back there. He just showed up one week and he's playing free safety. And I'm thinking to myself, they do have Nate Gary. They do have Camus Grugier-Hill, who's finally healthy. And those are their two best coverage linebackers. And maybe he goes about coverage that way and plays more linebackers. He's done some strange things in the past. It's not what you want to do, but to get through a game, I could see him doing it. I could even see him, playing linebackers with the safeties and having the big nickel with three safeties, and also having a lot of linebackers on the field and less corners, because you got to be careful with that. The Jets still have Robbie Anderson, so corners have to play, but it's a bad situation. So maybe he goes about it in a unique fashion. You asked it the other way as far as Adam Gase. I don't know if Adam's got anything up his sleeve. Jim's always got something up his sleeve.
Hey, I'll ask you about Deshaun Jackson. Is there some concern that this is going to be a lingering thing, that he, if he's not, or is it just a precautionary thing that because they're playing the Jets, do you think he'd play if the opponent was a little bit more formidable, or is there some legit concern that, hey, Deshaun's a little older and this thing could be kind of lingering around?
Well, I think we'll know next Wednesday, and I hate to push it off, but if he's not practicing next Wednesday, then you should get very concerned. Because there was a report that at least one doctor had recommended surgery, and that indicates sports hernia when you're talking about an abdomen tear. And as I said, if the Eagles went about it in a strategy-like fashion and said, well, we should win this game easily, let's give them an extra week at rest to get them ready for the road trip, to get them ready for that road trip, then you don't have a problem with it. But if he shows up next Wednesday and is not able to practice, then I think you got to start saying, yeah, this is way more serious than they originally let on.
All right, Eagles-Jets Sunday. I think we all know that everybody likes the Eagles to win the game. I guess the big question, John, is by how much? Is it as easy as it sounds? Do they make it ugly and close? How do you see the game unfolding on Sunday?
Well, I see the Jets have a lot of trouble scoring points, and if they don't do it defensively, or with special teams. I think I'm being kind by giving them a touchdown. Maybe they get a short field from that defense. But I think this is as easy as it's going to get this year for the Eagles, and I got them winning 31-7.
31-7, big win for the Birds. You can listen to the game right here. Billy Schweim in the locker room at 8. The countdown to kickoff with Tony Bruno at 10. And then Merrill and Mike start at 1 o'clock here on 97.3 ESPN. Football at 4 with John McMullen. Of course, all guests appear via the Boardwalk on the hotline. Thank you, John, and we'll hear you all weekend. And, of course, he'll be at the game at Lincoln Financial Field. Follow him at JF McMullen. Thanks, pal.
All right, thank you, guys.